3D Mail Results boosts business returns with innovative direct mail products and services, proving that even in the digital age, direct mail is a profitable channel for savvy small business and medium-sized enterprises. Travis Lee will reveal how direct mail can still play a crucial role in 2024, believe it or not, in helping businesses to attract, convert, and retain customers effectively.
This episode of the Lead Machine Growth Show is brought to you by Lead Machine, the step-by-step, tech-easy system for getting leads online. Are you struggling to get leads from your lead magnet? Are you tired of seeing low conversion rates and losing potential customers? It's time to revive your lead magnet and start attracting more leads. Download our free report, 10 Deadly Lead Magnet Mistakes That Are Costing You Leads, and learn how to create a high-converting lead magnet that engages your audience and drives conversions. Don't let common mistakes hold you back any longer. Revive your lead magnet today and download your free report at www.getleadmachine.com/deadly. Welcome to the Lead Machine Growth Show, where you will discover how to tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream. Paul Guyan, the mastermind behind the Lead Machine, introduces you to trailblazers who inspire you to implement life-changing solutions and systems you can model to nurture your leads and get your offers seen by your ideal clients who will invest in themselves and you. Be sure you visit our website at www.leadmachinegrowthshow.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, tune in and get ready to transform your vision into reality.
Welcome to the Lead Machine Growth Show. I'm Paul Guyan, your host, lead machine coach, and the founder of the Lead Machine Mastermind. I'm dedicating to helping you tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream. And whether you're just starting out or looking to take your business to the next level, let's get this conversation started and turn your dreams into reality. Travis Lee is internationally known as the expert in getting direct mail delivered open and read and not put in the garbage can. As co-founder and president of 3D Mail, he generates huge returns for thousands of businesses each year that use his innovative and effective marketing strategies. His unique yet tested marketing methods have helped add millions of dollars in sales to a wide variety of businesses, from kitchen table run sole proprietors to national and multinational businesses, mailing millions of pieces of mail a year. His techniques and strategies move seamlessly between business to business and business to consumer worlds and consistently provides his clients with an amazing positive returns of 200 to over 3,500%. That's 3,500. Since 2008, he has created some of the most successful direct mail campaigns designed to give small businesses and entrepreneurs a leg up against the competition. He's also the creator of the 3D Mail direct marketing system, through which his company provides specialized direct mail and ready-to-use sales letters to thousands of clients worldwide. So it's an honor to have you, Travis. Thanks a lot for coming today.
Yeah, Paul, thanks for the invite. Great to reconnect and hopefully share some old school marketing knowledge in a new school way.
Yeah, we were talking just before we started recording. A lot of business owners think that direct mail is dead, but I know that it's alive and well. And even, of course, the U.S. Postal Service is they were providing some direct mail assistance a few years ago. But so what's it going on in 2024? And is it dead or is it alive and well?
It's a great question. So first off, thanks for having me on, Paul. The direct mail is a long, long way from dead. The Postal Service is a long, long way from dead. And in fact, we're seeing, as everyone has continued to run towards digital and Facebook and Instagram and social and email and all the other things that we have here, we're seeing ROI increase on this side. We're seeing response rates increase. We're seeing less competition, right? So imagine you could go to a place to advertise whatever it is that you do, and you're almost guaranteed to not have your biggest competitors there, right? So that's the kind of environment that direct mail can have for you. And I've got some numbers here for you. I'll just kind of read off some of the top ones here. These are all from every 5 years, the U.S. Postal Service does what they call I won't get the name exactly right, but they call it their channel marketing in-depth research project, right? So this was from 2020. They'll have another one that comes out next year. But all these numbers are directly from the Postal Service. So if you think that direct mail is dead in 2024, why don't you at least consider some of these before you kind of completely write it off?
Yeah.
So the first one is 80% of people say they look forward to checking their mailboxes. 80%. I'm not sure that that's the same rate for email, right?
Yeah.
73% of US consumers prefer direct mail from brand communication because it allows them to read the information at their own convenience. So we're meeting the consumer. And when I say consumer, it doesn't matter if you're marketing, directly to a consumer or if your consumer is another business. They're all consumers. Here's one I love. Direct mail has an average shelf life of 17 days compared to just 2 seconds for direct email.
Yeah.
So, you can imagine when you get something in the mail, it sits on the desk for a while. It sits on the counter. Maybe it gets pinned up somewhere on a cork board, or it gets put on the magnet, put on the refrigerator back at home. But it sticks around. And so you've got a staying power that you don't have with a lot of digital. 82% of direct mail is read for a minute or longer. Now, this is not to say that you should abandon all those other things that work, right?
Yeah.
This is, and that's a big misnomer I see with a little off topic here. They think marketing is an or decision. It's usually an and decision, right?
Yeah.
So don't go running off and thinking, oh, I've got to abandon this or abandon that. Your marketing toolbox is just that. It's a toolbox. And depending on what tool you need at the time to reach the consumer you need to reach, it may be the perfect tool, just like a hammer is a perfect tool when you need a nail, or a screwdriver is a perfect tool when you have a screw to drive in. That's all we're saying. So as we move through this, kind of just keep an open mind, right? I know direct mail can seem old and stodgy, and you put a stamp on it and you use paper and ink and you get paper cuts and you get ink on your fingers. And then you got to wait 3 days for it to arrive before anyone can even do anything.
Yeah.
But we'll get into some other stuff here, I'm sure. But the post office is a long way from dying. Direct mail as a medium is a long way from dying. And, just think about some of the other ways we can get in front of our ideal prospect or client to, like I say, get prospects, convert prospects into buyers, and convert buyers into longtime customers. That's what we're looking to do.
And so the goal of direct mail is to bypass is to get attention, right? And I think you're in the attention getting business. And I know a little bit about you, and of course we've talked before. So can we talk a little bit about that getting the attention, how you can get attention, because there's still competition in the mailbox. Because there's, of course, we've got a political cycle going on at the moment, but there's lots of flyers and other things how do you stand out in the mailbox? What's the goal there?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And really, that's the root of any marketing or advertising or sales endeavor we take on. Yeah. The number one challenge we have as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as marketers of our companies is to actually gain the attention that we need, to get eyeballs on a screen, to get ears listening to a podcast or a commercial, to get fingers to click onto something. That is our number one objective with any kind of marketing. And, if you think about it, there's, well, let's take the gold standard of modern marketing now. It's the Super Bowl, right? Everyone waits for the Super Bowl. If you believe what most people say when I ask them to raise hands if I'm out talking, how many people watch the Super Bowl just for the commercials? 40, 50, 60% of the hands go up just for the commercials, right?
Yeah.
Well, and they can demand a ton of money because of that, because you are guaranteed attention. Well, most of us don't have that kind of budget to spend $4, $5, $6, $10 million on just the advertising spot, let alone the production costs and all that other stuff that we need to do. So we need, as small business owners, we need to find different ways to effectively get in front of that person and command that attention. And I did bring a few little props here. I think this is but for example, on like the real basic end of gaining attention, we've got these fake express envelopes, right? And they're made to look like little FedExes or little priority mail envelopes. They say rapid delivery, urgent, rush to addressee. And when this shows up, this has to get open, right? And what's great about like a piece like this is instead of being $8 or $9 for a priority mail or a FedEx, it mails at just a regular old postage stamp, right? And so this is the kind of stuff we're talking about. I've got another one here. Let me find it real quick. We have these, I know you've seen these, Paul. We've got these real vinyl bank bags, right? And so if you're just listening or don't have video, it's this vinyl bank bag, and we put this fictitious bank name on it, right? And we unzip it, and there's, you can put your letters right inside. And we actually will send this. We'll put a mailing label and the postage right on this piece of mail. And now this thing shows up in the mailbox. Well, what do people think's inside of this when they receive it?
There's money.
Money, right?
Yeah.
So who is not going to open this direct mail piece when it does show up? And that's the kind of effect that direct mail can have. We can show up where there's less competition. We can show up in a way that if our competition is there, we're usurping any kind of attention that they may be entitled to or think they're entitled to, is probably a better way to put it. Even then, think about it. Not just in the mailbox, but we all only have 24 hours in a day. And so not only are we in competition with what's in the mailbox, and we can do these things to rise to the top of that mailbox and be the first thing people open and be the thing that they read and be the thing that they stick on their desk and stick around for 17 days. But we're also just in competition with everything else in life. And as the world has gotten further into this digital space where there's things going off every 15 seconds, it seemed like, to get someone to stop, pay attention to your marketing message, hold it in their hand, read it, feel it, touch it. Now we have a distinct advantage. So again, this isn't to say you shouldn't be doing digital stuff. Paul and I got reintroduced to each other from an email that we both received, right? So I'm using email, I'm using digital stuff. But this is, again, with the toolbox that you have, there are very likely places within your marketing campaigns to use this tool to gain that attention that, we feel we're entitled to, but we're certainly not entitled to it from the rest of the world.
Yeah. Yes. Now, some of my friends and my clients are going to say, and I'm saying, well, gosh, it's complex. It seems like it's complex. I got to figure out what to say. I got to know who to mail it to, and which is super important.
Yeah.
Just like it is on digital realm, you got to know your audience, and of course it takes time. So how do we get over some of those hurdles? Let's start with the list. How do we get a list of people that are likely to, because I don't want to send 1,000 things out. I want to send out 122 to the people that I know that are really my clients. How do I get that?
Well, that's a great question to start with, because the list is at least 50% of the battle in direct mail and really in any kind of marketing, right?
Yeah.
If you if you are trying to sell shade to the Eskimos, good luck, right? So if that's your list and that's your offer, good luck, right? But if we've got people on the beach who need shade and it's 85 degrees outside with 1,000% humidity, all right, now we've got shade, right? So it's a great place to start. So like I said, it's at least 50% of the battle is that mailing list. So the first thing to know, let's back up a little bit. The very first place you can and should have success with direct mail is within your own list that you may or may not already have. Right. So if you are a business owner who's been in business for any amount of time, for say more than a couple of years, you have a list of prospects, you have a list of suspects, you have a list of people who have purchased from you 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, maybe more times. So the very first place you should have success with direct mail is targeting those folks, right? So
Mm-hmm.
making alternative offers to people who have brought, again, let's to just make it very simple. If they bought peanut butter and they haven't bought jelly, do you have two products that complement each other like that? So that's the first place you should have success. The second place you should have success is what we call conversion campaigns. So if you're doing any kind of lead generation marketing, any kind of direct response lead generation type marketing, where you are saying, hey, Mr. Prospect, I'm not asking you to buy anything, but I'd love for you to request some more information. So they get a book from you, they take a class from you, they have a real small purchase spare, maybe a $5 product to get them inside the door. And now let's say your next logical step is a $500 product, just for our argument's sake. So they've got these prospects who may or may not have purchased. Maybe they bought a little thing. Maybe they're just sitting on your list because they requested information from you. But converting those folks, right? So taking the low buyers to high buyers, taking the non-buying suspects that I call them on your list, right? They're not cold. They're maybe not the perfect prospect, but they're on your list, and now selling them into something, right? So that's in your little ecosystem of your own current mailing, of your own little world right now. The next thing you can do is go out and buy a list of people who would make up your perfect prospect, right? And so I'm not sure how many international listeners we have, Paul, but if you're in the United States, privacy is dead. So if you want to target specific age groups, specific gender, specific age, whether they're married, whether they're not, there's 5,000 different ways to slice and dice a list. And so if you can articulate who that person is, we can then go and get that list, right? Because again, privacy is dead. In other cases, it might not be necessarily it might not be a demographic indicator that says that we want them or makes them a perfect ideal prospect, but it might be actually a segment of their life. So let's say we're a real estate agent and we want to sell to recent empty nesters, right? Let's take some of that equity. Let's, downsize. You don't need a house this big. You went from 5 in the house to 2 in the house. Well, we can go get a list of empty nesters, right? Because that's a moment in their life when they are more apt to listen to what we are, more apt to be receptive to our offer. Let's say we're an insurance broker and we sell insurance of all kinds. Well, we can get a list of people who just had a baby. So we can get expecting parents or parents who just had a baby. And now let's say we sell life insurance. Now there's that moment in time where that person is more apt to listen to our pitch because of the thing that's happening in their life. I'll give you one more. We work with a lot of attorneys. We work with a lot of bankruptcy attorneys. Most people don't know this in the world, but if you say get a lawsuit because you've skipped out on your credit card bill, that's now a public record thing that happens in the state or the county. We can go get that list of people who are being sued and mail to the attorney. And those are just like 3 or 4 examples, but there are likely places in your business where there's a life instance happening, where there's a demographic thing happening, where we can identify that group of people and then make them an offer. So just know that when it comes to direct mail, really what the social media platforms do, they took direct mail principles and put them online, right? Yeah. So we want to be able to target this person and this person. That was always a direct mail thing. And then the social media platforms brought that online. I'll digress a little bit. They've gotten rid of some of us direct response guys for more of the brand people. But the fact remains, that's all they did. They just took direct mail principles and plugged them into their platforms.
Yeah. A couple of caveats that I want to discuss to see how you approach them is that, okay, I've got clients who are mindset coaches, and they're looking for people who are averse to visibility. They've got some emotional setbacks. They've got some internal issues that they need to get over so they can get out and get visible and market their businesses. And I do have a client like that. And so where would I find a list like that? Or for someone who's an energy healer, for someone who has back pain. Uh, back pain is, I can jump on that pretty quick because there's some things I can think of. But what about the first example, and then we'll move to back pain?
Yeah. So as a big general rule of thumb, there are publications, groups, information hoarders. And when I say hoarders, I mean that in a nice way. They collect data, they collect information. They could be publishers, they could be website folks, they could be your local association of whatevers, right? They
Yeah,
all collect data, and most of them make it available for purchase. So most of the stuff we talked about in my last little discussion was,
yeah,
okay, can we go get demographic data and then target that person? Well, my guess is there is probably an association of healers, and we can put whatever adjective we want in front of that, and they probably make their list available for purchase, right? So there are lots of different ways. There's actually a list that if you look up Nextmark, I don't make any money. I don't have any affiliation with Nextmark, but
I know
Nextmark,
Nextmark. Yeah.
yeah, they're the Google of mailing lists. So you
Ah,
can go to Nextmark, go to their little search bar, and you could type in mindfulness healers. Now, there may only be 3 or 4 options, but they will list now all of the all of the lists that are available in that description, right? So if we did back pain, we might get 10,000. If
yeah,
we did mindfulness healers with back pain, we might get what we might not get any. I don't know. I haven't looked up mindfulness healers for back pain, but we
yeah,
can probably get somewhere closer than just the average Joe off the street, right? So if we were to mail the white pages, 25 years ago, right? But so
yeah,
just remember that if it's a decent sized group of anything, there's probably somebody who is collecting that data and making it available. Because again, in the United States, privacy is dead. Right? So just always keep that in the back of your mind. Our shared mentor, Dan Kennedy, used to say, if I wanted a left-handed little people who bowl in a bowling league on Tuesday nights in Cleveland, there's probably a list for that, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, is that taking it a little too far? Yeah, you might get a list with 4 people, but if you can expand it ever so slightly, now you've got that list of dozens or hundreds or maybe even thousands of people potentially.
Well, and I think that just leads me down this trail of, okay, so what else? What else is in common about the person who's afraid to market? Well, they're a business owner and they're trying to grow their business. So they might be subscribed to an autoresponder or to some sort of plug-in or a theme or getting some kind of services that because and the indicating of and the kind of product that they're buying might indicate that they're new because they're using MailChimp or something like that.
Yep.
So they might still bite. They might still be interested in growing their business, but they have to get over themselves, get over the fear of being
Mm-hmm.
visible. So you might have to use a wider brushed or more of a shotgun approach to get them. But if you have a lead magnet or a mailer that resonates with them in that way, then you can get them in. And that kind of leads me to my next step is how do you use direct mail to build your email list?
Well, I mean, so we talked a little bit about it at the
Yeah.
beginning, which, converting your existing clients and moving
Uh-huh.
them over. But let's assume that we want to do some just straight lead generation, right?
Yeah.
So we want to grow our mailing list. So now let's say we're a small business. Let's say we cater to small businesses and we're a coach for whatever reason. Doesn't really matter. Let's just say we're a coach. We
Yeah.
could go get, and we want to work in, let's say, a medical field of some kind. We want to coach dentists. We want to coach veterinarians. We want to coach really anybody, right? We could
Mhm.
actually go and get now. So let's use our example. Let's say I'll use an example from a client that we're working with right now. We're working on that conversion piece of it with him, but we can use him as an example, right? So
Yeah.
he coaches mainly realtors, mainly realtors, not real estate investors, not that, right? The person who helps the consumer buy and sell their property.
Yeah.
Well, we could go get a list of the home addresses or the office addresses of every realtor who has sold 5 or more homes in the last year. We could go get that list. Now we mail them a direct mail piece. Generally speaking, you might not send the bank bag for lead generation. You might send the bank bag for lead conversion. But now let's say we've got a free or low cost book, a free or low cost class, some kind of lead generation bait we can put out there, right? Dan Kennedy calls it a lead magnet. Others have called it bait. Whatever it is we're going to use to lure that person in. So let's say we've got, the five missing ingredients every realtor is missing in their business, right? But just to make something up on the fly.
Yeah.
They now can get that list of home mailing addresses of realtors who have sold 5 or more homes in the last year. And now we can make that free offer to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that, or free or low cost offer, whatever that may be, the book, the class, maybe that's to come to a lunch and learn. Pre-COVID, those lunch and learns did very, very well for a vast majority of people. Then they kind of went away. Now they're coming back, right? So you've probably all gotten the flyers, right? For, come and learn about X, come and learn about Y. But really, and this is where a lot of people, I think, get hung up. There is no real difference between lead generating online and lead generating offline. You've got to have the right list. You got to have the right people to target. You have to have the right offer, and it needs to show up. The one that's a little harder for us is showing up at the right time, right? The best time to show up for that realtor would be when they're getting a little frustrated. Maybe they're feeling a little down and they need a little spark. They need something to get them going again. Well, like the timing, for most of us, we just can't time, right? But there really is no difference. And so what I'll often see is when people are kind of converting from this mostly wholly online venture to getting into the direct mail stuff is they'll tell me, hey, I've got this lead magnet and it does really well on Facebook or it does really well on somewhere else, right? And we're driving traffic there and they go to a page and they request all their information. Well, that list doesn't really care that they came to you first time via Facebook or the first time via direct mail. So what you can often do is if you do have that online presence already, find, who that ideal person is. We go get them offline. We make a similar offer, drive them to the very same funnel or landing page or whatever the system is we have over here. And now, again, if we have that marketing funnel, the marketing funnel that converts usually doesn't care what traffic goes into the top. We can send direct mail, we can send email, we can send social media, and you're very likely as they go through that marketing sequence, that marketing funnel, to have the very same results.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like it would be a smart idea to make sure that you do have a converting offer online before you started driving mail traffic. Is that about right?
Yeah, but I mean, I have clients who don't necessarily have one. I mean, I think it's a bit of I think most people would say that because they would then think that it's cheaper to do the online versus the offline. And that may or may not be true.
May not be true. Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing, pay-per-click advertising, you could be paying easily $10 per click.
Yeah.
I've got a zillion different direct mail things I can send to make an impression at well under $10 per impression, right? And so that's kind of the only reason I bring that up is because so many more people are starting online and then venturing offline. And so if you are in a situation where you do have a good converting offer with a funnel and a direct response lead magnet in front of it, all the better.
Yeah.
But there are ways to do direct mail on the cheap. There are ways to do it to small lists. I mean, if you just go out and pound, if you're a networker and you hit every networking event in the area, right? And that's kind of how you do it. You're collecting business cards, you're shaking hands, you're kissing babies, right? Now you get 50 leads that week of people who are interested in whatever it is that you're sending. Well, now you might send them a bank bag if that makes sense from a financial point and makes sense for what you want to send. But direct mail it can work all along that journey, from the front end to the conversion to the the lifelong customer we're looking for.
Yeah, and really it is. The internet is a traffic store. So you gotta
Yes.
pay to get the traffic, or you gotta spend the time doing TikTok videos and dancing, to get people to come to your offer. With direct mail, it seems just simpler because there's so many different ways that you can waste time and money online, uh, that it's really the same thing. It's just a different source, a different traffic store, isn't
Yeah,
it?
you're exactly. I mean, that's a great way to put it. It's a traffic store.
Yeah.
You're paying for eyeballs and attention. Or let me back up. You're paying for the potential of eyeballs and attention,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so it's the same idea. But we've got to get that attention. So to get that mailing list, think of a mailing list. If you're in the Facebook world, it's that custom audience. You've got a
Yeah.
custom audience that you're constantly marketing to. If you know what the makeup of that audience is, we can go get the exact same list
Yeah.
and now have a mailing list. And to your point, now instead of them going down aisle 6, they're going to go down aisle 8, and
Yeah.
we're going to use this traffic source from the traffic store. So it's a great analogy. I love that analogy.
Yeah, I learned that from Ryan Dice, the
Okay, good.
the,
Yeah.
the SEO traffic store,
Mm-hmm.
because you need to have traffic to get to your offers, no matter where it's coming from, and a good lead machine to capture it and to convert it.
Yep.
You know, uh, so one of the things that I found interesting about your company is your marketing system and the way that you assist customers with the messaging, and it's um, it's what in the promo industry is we call a campaign. It's the same thing. It's a marketing campaign. In the promo industry, they think it's unique to them, but it's really not. But it's a solution. It's a turnkey solution so that you can try these things out, without having to come up with. I mean, you've got to customize it to your own audience and to your
Yeah.
message, but you've got some templates. Can you talk about that? About how you assist customers with that?
Yeah. So one of the things that we learned very early on was that people like sending what we call 3D mail. That's a bank bag. That's the Fun Express envelopes. People like sending it, but they don't necessarily know what to send.
Yeah.
So we've created a suite of dozens of different templatized letters that almost any business can take the idea. I've got this. Let's say you want to send a pill bottle. So this is an actual pill bottle, like you get at a pharmacy. We mail this just like it is. But what do I put inside of it, right? What's the message? What's the hook? What's the copy read and sound like? And so we created, like I said, we found this out relatively quickly, that people need that little bit of, they hate the blank cursor in a Word doc,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
what can we do to give them that headline, that opening headline, the opening paragraph or two? What can we do to give them the things to get that snowball rolling down the hill, right? Because for
Yeah.
most people, once they get started, it's easy to keep going. It's the getting started that's the hard part. So we've put together a whole, if you go to our website, I'm sure we'll give it later, you'll see these there, you'll see them in our books, you'll see them on almost everything that we do, is we try to give people those hooks, those templates, those starting points, so that, okay, I'm a problem solver. I take away this person's biggest headache. And so I want to send the pill bottle. What's the message we then send? And so that might be, Paul, is your biggest headache XYZ, right? And so it's giving them those templates, giving them those starting points to then get going and get the ball, again, get that snowball going downhill. So we've got dozens of different templates for all these different products. Even some just generic direct mail stuff, right? So you want a postcard, you want a letter that you don't necessarily want to put a pill bottle with. We've taken kind of those creative juices and we get them going for you, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you have statistics on how well they perform? Do you collect data from your clients at all on how well those campaigns work, or you've tested
Not
them?
most of them, just because we're not privy to their inside information, right? We're not
Yeah.
working with most of our clients that closely. We
Yeah.
we do have our clients that we work with. the most, that both us and them get the most success out of, is they're usually doing ongoing campaigns of some kind, right? And so we're getting those lists of people who have a civil suit against them, because it's back to the attorney example.
Yeah.
And so every Tuesday we get a list of everyone who is being sued the previous week, and then we're sending them direct mail pieces. And in some of those cases, we're helping them track it with tracking phone numbers. We're helping them tracking with QR codes and things like that. And so those clients, the ones that are, that we work very, they're very close clients, right? These aren't the transactional clients. These are the ones, and those guys we do a decent amount of tracking with. Well, let me back up. They should be doing a decent amount of tracking with it, right? We can only provide so much. But ultimately that's what we want. We want our clients to be able to attribute their success in whatever marketing they're doing, whether that be call volume, website visits, QR code tracking, opt-ins at a website, phone calls into opt-in, things like that. So we do have some tools that allow that tracking to take place that frankly wasn't there maybe 3 or 4 years ago, right? So personal QR codes, right? We can do personalized QR codes so that we know if Paul gets it and scans it, or if Tom gets it and scans it, we know right away, as opposed to a static QR code where Paul and Tom both scanned it, but we don't know if Paul or Tom scanned it, right? We just know that two people scanned it. So there are a lot of ways, a lot of things that we do now with technology that allow us to track, like I said, in a way that 4 or 5 years ago just wasn't available for most people.
I think you can even personalize the landing page based on that. So that when I get to the landing page, it says, "Hey, Paul, welcome back," that kind of thing. You can do that too.
Yep, absolutely. Those are personal URLs, even just vanity landing pages. So let's say you have your normal landing page, right? It's some .com with 17 slashes after it because Facebook just sends them there. Well, now you get a vanity landing page that is only in that direct mail piece, or you get the QR code that's only in that mail piece. You have a phone number that's only in that mail piece, and now you can start tracking those things.
Right.
Now, for most business owners, especially if you're a small business, 1-man shop, 2 or 3 or 4-man shop, for man or woman shop, right?
Yeah, right.
You know when you're being successful or not, right? You know when the phone's ringing, you know when the websites are there.
Oh, yeah.
Those other tools are when some of my attorneys are relatively small, but they turn it on and they know it's working. And once a month, they want to check those. All right, how many phone calls did we get this month? How many QR code scans did we get this month? And so now they're managing it from a 30,000-foot view on a monthly or weekly basis, as opposed to, really getting, the magnifying glass on it.
Yeah. What would be a recent, one of your, most memorable success stories that you could share with us with this?
So let's talk about a most recent one. So we had a client, we're working with him on a second project right now. He was actually on my mind when I made the realtor example earlier. He has a software essentially for realtors, right? And it's a $10,000 to $30,000 thing, depending on how big the office is and how often, how much they want to utilize it, right? Like most software now, right? There's all kinds of options in between. And so he had a bunch of realtors on a list who were those suspects. They had bought something from $5 to $50, but they hadn't matriculated up to the thing they ultimately want to sell, which is on average this $20,000 thing that they wanted to sell, right? And so they put themselves, what they did is they sent these bank bags out to those unconverted leads. Well, I guess they're converted leads, but they're not converting at the higher level, the higher level thing that they wanted, right? So there are these conversion campaigns. And so he sent out 350 to 400 of these things. Wasn't a huge number in the direct mail space. I mean, you've got FedEx you got American Express that is mailing out millions of pieces every single month, right? But in any case, they have this offer now that they were able to put in these bank bags, mail the thing out, and all they were asking them to do was to get on a coaching call to move them down the sales track, right? And so right away they got 4 or 5 calls in. Just one second. Your other guy, your FedEx home guy came and took it.
Okay.
Someone came and got it. Yep. Sorry about that. The FedEx guy really needed an answer from me, even though I'm sitting here talking in front of a screen.
Yeah.
So where was I? So he had he wanted to convert these people from those low cost things to the high dollar thing.
Yeah.
And he put himself in his, $120,000 sale puts him in a great position. Well, he got 6 inquiries within that first week. So the response rate wasn't great, but the ROI is going to be amazing if he just closes one of those 6, which he'll probably close 2 or 3 of them, and he's off to the races. So that's taking those lists within your list, and then most importantly, putting yourself in a position where you can be very, very successful in terms of an ROI perspective. That's what you're looking to do.
Right. Awesome. So, and we said earlier, this works with B2B and B2C. Everyone's got a mailbox, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
People don't always check their email. I mean, I have friends who's got one of my clients, I had to help him upgrade his Google workspace because he had too much mail that he hasn't gone through. And so he had like 9 gigabytes or something. He's at the top. So I had to help him upgrade it. And I said, wait a minute, let's clear out your thing. But they just let it go and go and go. And so you just unnoticed. But everyone has a mailbox and it fills up really quickly. I have to check my mailbox every couple of days because I get direct mail pieces.
Yeah.
And some of it I want, some of it I don't. And I sort it by the wastebasket, like Dan Kennedy says.
Yeah.
And keep the stuff that's interesting. So everybody has a mailbox.
Yeah. I mean, I've only ever worked in a B2B environment. I've only ever sold to other businesses. Now, that's not we work with businesses who sell to consumers,
Yeah.
right? And so we've got a lot of experience with that. But really, we find that, people are people and buyers are buyers, right? And you need there might be some gray area on the fringes in B2B and B2C that might be a little different. You've got committees to sell to, right? So there might be more than one decision maker. There might be some hierarchy in there, right? If I'm mailing into a very large company, there might be 2 or 3 people that handle the mail before it actually gets to the person that I actually want to get it to. You might need to do a little bit of legwork to find out who that person is, right? But again, by and large, privacy is dead. If we want a list of senior purchasing managers who sell desk chairs, we can probably get a list of senior purchasing managers who sell desk chairs or who buy desk chairs, right? And so the privacy is dead. And again, on the fringes, B2B, B2C can be different, but it's still about a good list, a good offer, good copy, gaining attention, right? It's probably even more important to gain the attention in those B2B environments. And then, like I said, the wild card's always timing. And we try to do things that we can time the best we can.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think consistency is important too. Just like in email and marketing, your messaging has to be consistent. And so once you get into it and find something that works, you keep doing it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how many times we'll talk to a customer weeks or months or years later, and they'll say, yeah, we did a campaign with you and it worked great. I'm not really sure why we're not doing it anymore. Right. So,
because we forgot.
yeah, don't get bored with success, right? I think a lot of people get enamored with the newest and greatest thing when business is more about finding the things that work and then doing them consistently. So that's not to say you can't go and find the new thing. Eventually, everyone needs a new thing, but I think we're almost too enamored with that to a large degree.
Yeah, it's that instant on everything all the time.
Yep.
That just grabs our attention. One more question. We're getting close to the end here.
Yeah.
What about, okay, so we got to buy a list, we got to buy some lumpy mail, we got to have postage, we got to put the copy together, all that stuff. How do we track whether or not it's, other than sales, how do we know that it's being effective, so that we can say, yep, go to the boss or go to the person who's got the checkbook to say, yep, this is going to to give me a return? And should I start out small? Give us,
Yeah.
how does it work? How does that
Yeah,
work?
great question. So you hit the nail on the head. Is ultimately we're really concerned about ROI, right? So
Yeah.
you got most of the answer there. Again, if we use my example of the guy who sells the software to realtors, he
Yeah.
got 6 out of 400 to respond to him. Okay response rate,
Yeah.
but ROI is going to be off the charts, right? So that's ultimately what we're looking for. However, to see, there are some leading indicators to those things. Some of them we already talked about, right? So
Yeah.
it's having trackable phone calls. Okay, I sent out 100 letters. I got 5 phone calls because the only place this phone number exists is in this direct mail piece, right?
Yeah.
Dedicated landing pages. So how many opt-ins are you getting, right? So you've got your cost per lead. If we spent $100 and we got 10 leads, our cost per lead was $10. If we
Mhm.
spent $100 and we got 10 leads and we got 1 sale, our cost per acquisition, our cost per sale was $100. Now, is that a good or a bad number? Well, I have no idea because I don't know what we're selling, right? But for
Yeah.
most people, right, it's tracking some of those numbers. So cost per acquisition, cost per sale, cost per acquisition, cost per lead, what was our response rate, just how many people contacted us because of this. Those are the leading indicators. Now again, um, if you're selling a $25 product, you need a lot more buyers to get where you want to go. If you're selling a $25,000 product, you don't need as many. So one person's crappy one person's crappy response rate is another person's response rate that they would like give their left leg to have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so all those things need to be taken into consideration. Ultimately, it's the ROI, cost per acquisition, cost per lead, response rate, QR code scans, opt-in, web page hits, things like that. Those are the things we're looking at. And then you got to consider, what is my lifetime value of this customer?
Yeah.
So if I just got one shot at selling them, I only have one thing, one product, one time, and it's right now, then I have to be positive on that first transaction.
Yeah.
There are some businesses where if you sell a consumable or if you sell a subscription or a SaaS, if you sell something that is replenished, right, either a predefined schedule or not, right?
Yeah.
Well, now maybe I'd be totally willing to go negative on that sale because the second sale is where the profit is. The third sale, right, wherever it is in that for that customer. We had a business that sold office supplies to offices, essentially. I won't get too far into the details, but we'd use direct response, direct mail, lead generation marketing, and they were the first transaction. We always lost money, but by month 6 to 9, between the sixth and ninth month of that relationship, we were positive. So we knew, okay, if we got 20 people to take us up on this initial offer, enough of them are going to be profitable in 6 to 9 months that we're going to consider this a success, and we're going to continue to keep doing it over and over and over again.
Right. And just so everyone listening out there, those metrics that we just talked about, the cost of acquisition and lifetime value and how many opt-ins or how many people are on your list, those are things you should be tracking anyway.
Yes.
You should know your numbers as a smart business owner. You've got to know those numbers. So, well, thank you so much. As we wrap up, Travis Lee, is there anything else that you'd like to mention? And also, I'd like to ask you about 3 things that our listeners can do to put these ideas into action.
So let's start with the 3 things. So the 3
Yeah.
things to put these ideas into action. First thing, you should always have success with your current list of some kind, right? So we talked about it at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Is there a list of people in your own business? Is there a list of people that you can be marketing to, right? So bought peanut butter, not jelly. Again, to bring back that very basic example. Maybe they bought from you 6 months ago, but haven't bought from you since. Is there a way to reactivate them? So the
Yeah.
first big takeaway I would say is, how can you work that existing list? The second key to success, look at your current customer list. Try to find the commonalities, and then let's go get another list of people who make up those commonalities, right? We could do a whole section on how we do that, but there are ways to reverse engineer a list, whether it's through Facebook and social media, whether it's using somebody like me who can actually upload your upload your customer list and find all those commonalities, right? So think about, who on my list could I be mailing to right now? Who can I of those mailing lists, of those people I currently serve, what are their commonalities? How can I go find more of them?
Mm-hmm.
And then number 3, the biggest thing I see people need to do in most of their businesses is just try different things more often and make more offers to people, right?
Yeah.
It's not usually a question of it's more a question of how much can we put in front of our ideal prospect and how often can we do it? Because most people don't do enough, and then most people don't make enough offers, right? That's kind of a big thing with me, is just go make more offers to your ideal prospect client or customers, and you'll probably get more people buying just because you're asking for them to buy. So that's a big takeaway for me. Just ask people to buy more often.
Yeah. And when you do that, when you find out something that works, do that some more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else?
That's it. I think those are
Okay.
my big 3 on that one. Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. You have a book. Can you tell us about the little book? Maybe you can hold it up and show it
In
to
fact,
us.
I got it here somewhere if I can find it. Oh, there it is. So I have a book. It's called The Simple 3-Step Process That Ensures Direct Mail Success. It is, we talked about it a little bit on this call, but the simple 3-step sequence is list, your offer, and what you mail and what you say. So list, offer, media. So we cover all 3 of those topics in the book. It costs $2.97. You can go to my name. That's Travis, middle initial A, last name Lee. So travisalee.com. Get a copy for $3, and you'll learn those. We go into even more depth into all those 3: list, offer, media.
Awesome. And on the show notes page or on the episode page, you'll see his contact information. You can reach out to him and check out 3dmailresults.com, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's our main website. That's our main company website, 3dmailresults.com. And then if you want the book, travisalee.com. Either way, we practice what we preach. There are lead generations offer up there. You can opt into something, and you can see that we eat our own dog food. We practice what we preach.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on, Travis. As we sign off, remember, faith and action go hand in hand. So keep the pedal to the metal until next time on the Lead Machine Growth Show. I'm Paul Guyon, and Travis Lee, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lead Machine Growth Show with Paul Guyon, where we show you how to tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream so that you can transform your vision into reality. Remember to visit our website at www.leadmachinegrowthshow.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Lead Machine Growth Show.